Hello and welcome to another Every Tuesday tutorial. This week is week 6 of the Holiday Hand Lettering Project Series, and it's also the last video in this series. So we're wrapping everything up. We're combining everything that we've learned so far with the past videos, and if you have missed any videos in the past, just click on the link in the video description. You'll have access to all of them. Also, as part of that link in the video description, I've listed all the supplies that I'm using for this project. So just click there and you can have access to everything. This is what we're going to be creating this week. So we've got a watercolor kind of look going on, surrounded by these branch flourishes, and we've added in some gold and silver detail to kind of finish everything off. So we're going to be creating this exact outcome together, and I am using a Winsor & Newton watercolor pan set for the watercolors. I've got a number 4 and a number 0. I also have a number 2 brush, but I don't think I'll be using this one as much. So my number 0 and number 4 are going to be my most important brushes for this. And I'm using Canson cold press watercolor paper. It's 140 pound, and it's one of my favorite types of watercolor paper, and it's super affordable, so I highly recommend this, especially for a project like this. And I am using a gold and silver Gelly Roll gel pen. So pretty basic stuff. We're gonna jump in and get started. I do have a pencil and an eraser here because if you've been following along, you know my kind of trick for creating these block letters to make them consistent. So we're gonna do that first. So I'm gonna set this aside, and the first thing you wanna do is just write out your word just regularly, and then we'll make it blocky afterwards. Okay, so once you have your word, now you're gonna block it up. And the main thing to remember is that you're just gonna outline around it, and whatever space you put on the top, right here, you just wanna make the space consistent for all of your letters as you come around. Okay, once you have your letters all blocked out, you're gonna erase away the inside line that you used as a guide. Take a final check at your letters and make sure everything looks good. I think I'm going to make my J a little bit shorter on this side. So now that you have your block letters all good to go, one thing to remember when you're watercolor painting, if you have pencil marks already on the paper, once they get wet, you won't be able to erase them. And since we're kind of painting over these, this will appear in your final layout if you don't reduce the darkness of your letters. So what I like to do is just come in very softly with my eraser and kind of tone the heaviness of my outline down, so you won't be able to see it once I've painted over it. So I just want enough of an outline where I can see it as I'm painting, but I don't want it to be this dark. So I'm just going to come around and slightly erase the pencil marks. Okay, so I've got it very, very faint right there, and now it's time to paint. So I'm going to grab my number 4. It's my larger brush since I'm filling in a lot of area. And the first thing I'm going to do is just come through one pass with red, and then we're going to come over it one more time just to darken it up, because once you put these gold details on, you really want them to stand out, and the best way to do that is make sure your colors are nice and dark before you lay this on top of it. So I'm going to do a layer of red, I'm going to wait for it to dry, and then come back through with another layer. Okay, so I've got my dark red all on here, and if you notice on the example, I've also included a little bit of purple here and there just to add a little extra color variety. So I'm going to go in and do that now. So I'm going to paint another layer of red on, but this time when I'm going through, I'm going to make sure this is all wet first. This is the wet on wet technique. You're just going to grab a little bit of purple and you're just going to dab it in certain sporadic areas. This is very random, so I'm just choosing random areas and dropping just a little bit of purple here and there. And I'll just add a little extra variety to the layout with color. Okay, so once your watercolor is all dry, now it's time to introduce those details within your lettering. So I'm going to come in and make these kind of simple leaf decorations on the inside. It's just redrawing the same outline that we had earlier, and then just dropping in a silver dot between each one of those. Okay, and to finish it off, we're just going to put a thick outline or a stroke around all of our letters, and whatever thickness you decide to make this stroke, just make sure it's consistent across all of your letters. Okay, so now that our letters are all complete, it's time to bring in these branches. So these branches are kind of like flourishes. I do have a tutorial on how to create these branches if you want to check that out, if you need a little extra practice. That link is also in the video description. So essentially, when I'm deciding where I'm going to place these branches, I'm looking for little crevices in my letters. So a really nice place to start is between your letters. So I've got a nice little start right here. I bring one down right here, come out of this little area and into this area. So, and some letters already have natural crevices like this Y right here. I'm bringing it out of this area, and same with the J right here. When you have an edge that doesn't have one, like the side of this Y, what I usually do is just mirror or mimic whatever's on this side over here. So that's what I'm doing, just to create a little bit of symmetry and add extra balance to the layout. So that's basically how I decide, and then these branches have their own organic shape to begin with, and the more you practice them, the more natural it'll feel. But as a starting point, just look for little crevices or areas where you can bring in a branch to kind of tie everything together and make it feel like one complete layout. So I have my brown, my green, and I've got my red right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just draw in my branches and then add my leaves and then my berries, and then I'll be all done. Okay, so that concludes our holiday hand lettering project week 6 and the last one of the series. Once again, click on the link in the video description. You can have access to all the previous videos and all the supplies used in every single video. If you decide to create this and post it on Instagram, I'd love it if you tag me. My handle is @everytuesday, and please use the hashtag holidayhandlettering PROJ for project. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please subscribe. I release a new design tutorial every single Tuesday. And don't forget to head on over to my blog, every-tuesday.com, for even more design and lettering freebies. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week.